A year and a half ago, I was an extremely active 12-year-old girl. I was in cheerleading, tumbling, and I ran every single day. I played competitive soccer and I was joining a select team. Sports were my life. At the end of April 2011, my sixth grade class went on a trip to the Texas Hill Country. We went to Mo Ranch. We had a great time. When we returned home Friday, I didn't feel like myself. Over the weekend, I became very sick. On Sunday, I went to the emergency room. I had fever, high heart rate, and my leg hurt. They gave me an IV bag of fluids and sent me home. They just thought I had a virus. I woke up in the middle of the night. I couldn't walk. And by 5 a.m., I was at Children's Medical Center in Dallas. I was spiraling downward. And by Monday afternoon, I was in ICU, placed in an induced coma, and put on a breathing machine to survive. Over the trip, I contracted community-acquired methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, otherwise known as MRSA. MRSA is a severe bacterial staph infection that entered my bloodstream and caused my body to go into septic shock and shut down my organs. I was dying. MRSA is what the medical profession calls a superbug. From the time this virulent superbug entered my body till the time I was put on life support was less than 4 days. I needed an MRI to locate infection pockets in my body, then surgery to remove them. I was not stable. My blood pressure was so low that the doctors felt I wouldn't make it through the anesthesia. The anesthesiologist told my dad he would do his best, but my chances weren't good. Over the trip, I contracted, in the hospital, my body battled a long list of conditions: acute respiratory distress syndrome, respiratory failure, kidney failure and on dialysis for a week, cardiac failure, osteomyelitis or bone infection in the left femur, septic arthritis of the left hip, blood clots in the left femoral vein and left radial artery, anemia, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, low sodium, pancreatitis, pneumonia, and 3 hip surgeries. On Mother's Day, 1 week later, my infection rate had finally dropped a couple of points, showing that the antibiotics had reached all the infected places in my body. They woke me up the next day. I was very weak. The smallest things were difficult, like holding a bottle of water or raising my hand to wipe my face. On the day I woke up, while my dad talked to the nurses, I whispered a question to my mom. Am I dying? Later, when we talked about our experience, she said that one was the hardest questions for her to answer. My dad became so well-versed on my entire medical condition, answering questions about lab results, that during morning rounds, the other doctors mistook him for a doctor. My parents talked to me about Sam's mom, Mrs. Mitchell, starting a Caring Bridge website for us. This allowed us to post updates on what was happening with me. This also let people comment for us. They found strength in the words and people writing them. Family, friends, and teachers came to visit us. That week was the hardest for them, not knowing if they would lose me. They said that the love and support from everyone lifted them up and helped them get through. My grandmother told me that my mom and my dad put their life on hold to be on my side. They were and are dedicated to my full recovery. My brother has also thanked me many times. Oakridge let him get out of school that week to be with my family. He also got to skip his final exams. You gotta look for the positive. As I grew stronger, I moved out of ICU to the 5th floor. I was restricted to my room, but I could have young visitors. My good friend Aaron came to see me and brought gifts. Also, my soccer team came to see me and brought a huge basket full of tons of notes from school. As I became more aware on what was happening with me, my doctors told me that the hospital learned a lot from my case, with the treatments that they gave me and my survival. At the 4-week mark, my infection rate was finally low enough for me to go home. My parents had to learn how to give me blood thinner shots and IV antibiotics every 6 hours through my PICC line. This is a permanent IV line that went into my arm and stopped right above my heart. Right before my 13th birthday, the 8-week mark, my PICC line came out. When it came out, I started eating like crazy. I lost 30 pounds and I had a lot of catching up to do. By the time school started, I thought I was getting back to normal and ready to play sports again. But an x-ray showed the infection had eaten a large portion of the bone at the femoral neck. So the doctor decided that I needed a hip plate to stabilize the bone. By the end of 7th grade, walking became very difficult. Numerous trips to the doctors discovered that my hip joint was collapsing due to AVN, avascular necrosis, lack of blood flow to the ball. It was dying. So later, I had my 5th surgery to put in 3 shorter screws so they wouldn't protrude into the joint. The pain was getting more severe, and my doctors knew I needed a pediatric hip specialist. So I became a patient of the Scottish Rite Hospital. And then later had my 6th surgery to remove all the metal. It was a lot of metal, and I wanted to keep it. During the surgery, they discovered that my hip joint had much more damage than they thought. The doctor said it was the worst hip he's ever seen. During the surgery, they removed a lot of bone chips that caused me tons of pain. But I could not put any weight on my left leg, or it will damage it they repaired. I'm no longer fighting for my life. I continue to battle the effects of MRSA, and I don't know where that's going yet. I thought I'd be healed, back to normal, and playing sports by now, but that's not the case. As I told my parents one night at dinner, sports are just one part of me. I have so many more. I will most likely never participate in any competitive sports again. I'm not happy about it, but I'm okay with it. During my hospital stay and ever since, I've been throwing myself into drawing, painting, and just creating art. And I've always wanted to play the guitar. So this summer, I picked one up, and with a little help from my brother Whit and the internet, I can play it really well. I've also started to focus on my schoolwork, and for the first time, I made the headmaster's list. My path has changed. At first, I thought I'd go to college on an athletic scholarship. But now I know I'll go on an art and academic one. It's difficult to truly portray all that I went through. What I learned as a 12-year-old is that we all go through hard times and life-changing events. Things happen in your life that you cannot control. How you deal with it is my message to you. Don't focus on what you can't do. Instead, pour everything you have into what you can. I will not let my body define me. I will adapt, I will set new goals, and I will achieve them. Thank you.